everyone. Welcome back to Straight Talk No BS. I'm Judy, your host. This is Tanya on the right of me. We have Taz up in the corner, and we have Cynthia down at the bottom. Anyway, today's topic is we're gonna discuss some of the policies and contracts that have been put in place by some of our candidates. Some of Biden's plans, ideas, and some of Ice Cube
on his contract.
On his contract with Black America. And then we're going to talk about a little bit of Trump's. Anyway, y'all.
We in for a doozy.
I see you put an S on the end of that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is going to be interesting. You know, many people in our community, they don't understand how politics can have a big impact on our families and on our lives daily. You know, most of us, we go to the polls and we just vote straight Democrat. I guess we do that because we were taught to vote straight Democrat. I guess we choose them because we say they're the less evil of the two. Or either our family just raised us that way to vote Democrat. Maybe some of y'all's households were Democratic.
Mine definitely was. It was just an understood thing. Everybody votes Democrat just because evidently Democrat is supposed to represent middle class people, which, you know, that's what we were. So it was just an automatic thing.
But you know what's funny is the fact that Black people, we used to be Republicans.
Interesting
really?
Enough.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Did you know that, Nay?
Yeah, I definitely knew that African Americans, especially when we had the Black Wall Street, we started off Republican first.
So we were Republican then?
Yes.
A lot of Black people?
Yes,
okay, that's interesting. Well, I grew up in a Democratic household, but the city that I was raised up in was predominantly Republican. What about y'all? I know Cynthia, of course, you grew up where I'm from. But what about your city that you grew up in?
I grew up, I would say it was probably divided. It was divided half and half. I mean, you just really, you would run into probably equal parts of representing Democrats or Republicans. So
that's funny that you say that, because I went to visit my grandmother this past weekend, and on the way to see her, we seen a lot of Republicans. We seen a lot of Trump supporters. I'm talking about flags on their trucks, on their cars, on their houses. So, yes, ma'am, Grayson County is still Republican.
Very conservative, definitely.
I want to know, how do y'all feel about Trump? And the reason why I asked that are Republican views, because like I said, all of us being raised in a Democratic household, I want to know, did that affect you when you go to the polls and vote? Do you just go in there and do you just straight vote Democratic? Or do you actually listen and do your research on all the policies and decide what's best for your family? That's important. We as Black people need to start doing that.
I didn't necessarily read everything, but when I went to vote yesterday, I did read up on some of their policies, and no, I did not just straight up vote straight Democrat. I did vote Democrat for the presidency, but some of the city policies for Dallas County, I did some of the views that they had up there, like I said, for the school districts and taxes and stuff like that, I didn't vote straight Democrat. Some of it was liberal. I just didn't believe in some of the stuff that they had up there, because some school won money or got a loan or got whatever. They were trying to raise the taxes in that particular area because they want their money back. I believe that those kids worked hard to get that grant. You know, they kept their grades up. They went around the Call of Duty on their state test and stuff like that. So you tell these kids these things and you promise these kids these things, and then when it's time to put money before action, you want to make them pay it all back once they done graduated. I didn't understand that.
So that prevented.
Okay, so that affected the way that you voted.
And all my kids graduated from this particular area that I was in where I voted, and I take that personal. Because I was that single mother trying to get all three of her kids through school, and now all of a sudden, because they're young adults, you want them to pay back the money you promised them in school. That don't make sense to me.
Well, I'm gonna say I've always been Democratic. My mindset was Democratic, but here recently it's changed. I'm not gonna say I'm a 100% Trump supporter. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I'm just gonna say I'm an independent mind
Which
person.
is what I was about to say. That's what I tend to believe I am, because I can respect both sides. I think both sides at times, or I'll say both sides want the same goal, but how they go about getting that goal sometimes is what makes people, that causes the difference, I think.
You think both sides want what?
I think in the end, in general, both sides want the same thing. I really do.
No, they don't.
Why you disagree with that, Francis?
I'm coming back. Because they voice it. Listen, it's one thing to voice what you want and then turn around and do the opposite. That's just like they don't, but they don't. Neither one of them. They don't want the same thing. They want what's best for them and theirs. It has nothing to do with us.
Well, I have to say,
it doesn't have anything to do with us, because even Biden is not for us. Even his counterpart is not for us. They history show that.
Kamala Harris.
You doggone right.
Oh wow. Okay. What was up?
No, but as far as they don't, the lesser of two evils, I think that's what ends up making me think or go towards just being independent. And when I voted, I didn't vote just straight Democrat. In the past, I have. Yeah. Just as an automatic routine thing, because, like I said, in my family, that's all I was trained to know. Anybody that ever grew up, my aunts, uncles, anybody else outside of our family or just in the neighborhood where we lived, it was just an automatic thing. So when I was able to vote, that's all I did. And I thought that was an honor or privilege at the time to just go straight Democrat. But this time, as I've gotten older, I just tend to be independent. Just because, like I said, I can respect both sides.
I'm looking at both sides and I'm saying, what do either one of them have to offer us? What have they offered us back in the past? What have they done to make it better for Black Americans? What have they done in the past?
It's slim. It's almost like what does get done is etched out by something else. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If you do a good thing by helping out the unemployment rate or something like that, you do something else that causes damage to it. Like, for instance, with this pandemic that's going on. The unemployment rate, had dropped.
Yeah, they said Trump dropped the unemployment rate. He increased Black home ownership. He decreased the poverty level among Black people. It's funny how everything is directed toward Black people now because they're trying to win those votes. They're trying to get those votes.
This is what I will say, and any young person that's watching, is 4 women on this panel, and we all have different views on how we feel, but it is very important to vote. It is very, very, very important to vote. But make sure you know what you're standing up for. Make sure you know who you're voting for. Because the way I was raised, my grandfather said Democratic or Republican. No vote is just like voting. You can't complain if things doesn't change.
You're right.
You didn't put your voice out there for it to be heard. And then you're looking at the people that came before you, the shoulders that you're standing on, the back that you're standing on, because we celebrate Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, but there was thousands upon thousands of other people that sacrificed their life so that you could have the right to vote. They were not the only ones. So the key thing for me on this panel today, I don't care which way you vote, as long as you get out there and get your voice heard.
Well, there's so much misinformation that's out there right now that's telling people, especially Black people, that your vote don't count. So that's the reason why a lot of people are so apt to say, no, I'm not going to vote.
KRS-One.
Yeah. What KRS-One? Mm-hmm. What difference does it make if I vote? Because they're not seeing any progress. You always hear all the talking from the right and from the left, but you never see any progress. We're still in the same place we were centuries and centuries ago. What are you about to say?
Go ahead, Cynthia.
I definitely agree with what you just said. We are still stuck in some areas, but also as the Black community, to me, just like we had the Black Wall Street, we have to start banding back together and looking out for each other. my grandfather had a garden, and he was not a perfect guy. You know, he post-traumatic stress and all that. But if you go next door and he got a dozen of eggs, he gonna help you out with that dozen of eggs. If you got some chicken in the coop, they gonna help you out with the chicken in the coop. The more to the point I'm trying to make is, if Black people get back to helping each other, we can come up. Because if you look at the statistics, we may be lower as far as financial, but we do have a bigger gain on any race, I believe. You know,
well, I'm not going to just say Black communities or Black people. I'm going to say if all minorities took a stand, do you know where we would be right now? We would be on top. It has to be all minorities to stand up. Even some people in authority that are white need to stand up for what's right. You know
what? I also think, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just thinking that you said all minorities. Well, I think just everyone in general. If you decide, it doesn't just start with who's running for president or who's in the White House, because it starts in the city, the state. You understand what I'm saying? All the different, what am I trying to say? Races that are ran like every 2 years, the mayors, the governors, stuff like that. You're really and truly, and as far like Cynthia said, no vote is just as negative. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's a lot of people out here that are trying to vote, but we haven't talked about this, the voter suppression. The voter suppression. Mm-hmm. All of that's going on in Houston and Atlanta and all these other cities, Georgia, where they're closing down these voting polls. Why are y'all closing them down? And then on the white side of town, you have Caucasian people going in to vote. They voted less than 6 minutes. And then you go over to the Black side of town, the poverty side of town, and it's taking these people 8 and 9 hours, some of them even out there to 1 a.m. in the morning just to cast a vote.
That's true.
So a lot of people are going to get frustrated. It's just not, it's not fair. But what can we do about it?
Well, first and foremost, there's another thing that's going on too. When they go to cast their ballots are being wrote on, which actually eliminates their ballot.
It negates it. That's right. It makes it negative.
So why are you even writing on my ballot? My ballot, I didn't ask you to write on it. Don't put your John Hancock on it. That's for me to do, not you.
You're right. You got poll watchers that are there that are supposed to help regulate the process, and they're ending up kicking people out, sending people away. They're not allowing them to come in. The time limit to register to vote. They always different states are interfering with it, making the laws more strict for you to get yourself valid to be able to qualify.
Like some of the college students, what they used to do, they come of age to vote. They're excited about voting, but they can't vote because all they have is a college ID. So they make all these laws and restrictions and say, hey, we're not going to take your college ID.
Strict
it's unacceptable.
Laws. That's right. There's 36 states, I think, or 38 states, something like that, with strict laws about your ID, what type of identification you have to have.
That's funny that y'all said that, because when I went to vote yesterday, I preached to my young adult children that, go vote early. Don't wait until the election time to go vote, because once you wait till the election time to go vote, Texas is one of those states that the laws become stricter. I agree with that online. But right now, up until the 30th of this month, you can just take your ID. If you know that you're registered to vote, you can walk in the voting poll and take your state ID and or your voter registration card with your social security card. You have to have 2 forms of ID without your state ID. That is true. But I preach to my kids to take their state ID, because if you wait until election, the rules are going to get stricter and stricter. And my son is 27 and he went to vote today. I mean, we normally go every year as a family, but everything happened as they get older. They trend off and do their own thing. But I still promote go to vote. Go vote. If you're over 18, go vote.
I almost thought I wasn't going to be able to vote because go ahead, Tess.
Oh, well, go ahead.
No, I almost thought I was. I'll be back. Now, I almost thought I wasn't going to be able to vote because I went in and I had my ID. I didn't have my registration card. I had already pre-registered in time to vote, but I didn't get the actual card yet. Jay, she had hers, but I didn't have mine. So my ID, and I went in there, and the lady, she was looking, and it was just weird because it seemed like she was trying to find every reason to not, because at first it was like, okay, well, what's your date of birth? And I told her, and she was like, okay, but this address shows you at another address. And I was like, well, I've lived there also, but I'm currently here. And she's like, well, and then there was another thing, and she called over 2 more people, and I was just standing there like, really? Y'all gonna really just not?
Yeah, try it.
And so finally, a black guy that was sitting next to her, he was like, here, just have her fill out this form. And so I filled out the new form with my new address and brought it in. And then she was more like, oh, well, yeah, this will just help them keep it register with the clerk or something, like get it straightened out. But you're fine. You're good to go. But that was after 10 minutes of haggling. Some people at that point, they give up and are like, well, just forget it. And then ultimately don't go back.
It's funny that you said they write on some ballots, because actually the poll that I went to, they preferred that I pick up my own ballot and hand it to them and put a serial number, stamp the serial number on it, and then they send it back to me, and they actually guide you through these lines on, hey, you can go to any booth over there. And then when I went to take it to the box, they made me stand there and put a little machine tick, 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 tick around to say, okay, your vote has been counted. Neither one of those people that were in there to help me, except for the one that handed me the ticket, were the only person that touched my ticket. That's funny that you said they're writing on some ballot.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they're writing, because they didn't write on ours at all. No. It came out. We held on to our own ballot, walked over through whatever, they had us touch the screen with certain whatever. And then she told us, here, you put it in here and you put it in there like that. And we just, you know what I'm saying? No one else touched it.
Well, if you're ever turned away from voting, you can ask them to give you a provisional ballot.
Yes.
So that way you have 3 days to come back to get your situation situated and then come back and be able to vote. So if anybody out there, if they turn you away for whatever reason, ask for a provisional ballot.
Also check and double check before you go to vote that you are cleared without any kind of penalties, or I forgot what the actual term is for it, but some people are finding out once they get there that they have it's kind of like a sanction or something that's on them for something that's not been processed right. And then it turns you away. So just, if people are watching and, we're trying to really stress the importance of voting, but there are things that are getting in the way of preventing you from doing it. So just
they even got a thing called a purge list. That's where a lot of Black folks and Hispanics, they have the same first name and last name. When you have kids, name them after you or whatever. Mm-hmm. But y'all live in different cities. Well, that person that has the same name as yours, that try to vote in a different city, they'll think that it's a duplicate vote. So they'll cancel it. So you have to watch out for that too. Any way possible. Then we have Russia over there messing with things.
Girl, shut up.
I'm telling you, it's a mess.
And for future references, for those that cannot get out and vote, if you do everything in your power, you can do a mail-in voter registration. You can do a mail-in vote. I say that because of elderly people. My grandmother being 83, even though we took her to vote, they let her know that at 83 years old, you can't get out. So I filled out the forms for her Sunday for the next election, which is umpteen times away. But if the Lord say the same, her stuff will be mailed to her.
I'm gonna tell you
about the mail vote. Yeah, was you finna say something about that too?
Yes, honey. You can't do it in Arizona. Well, you can mail it, but you gotta deliver it yourself. You gotta hand deliver it yourself. If you don't, it's a felony.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am. You send anybody else to go take your ballot and mail it, and they catch them on camera mailing your ballot, that's a felony on that person.
Any way possible.
And then not only that, and I can't remember what city it's in, but people who are doing the ballots, the mail-in ones, let's just say they're not making it there.
Wow.
Somehow and it's conveniently, real funny because conveniently they're not making it there. Conveniently they done came up with. Conveniently they just so happen to be some Black voters.
Wow.
Y'all.
So all this, like I say, Kamala Harris, she's one. They're not for us. They just now became for us since running in the election.
It's only around this time anyway. But
everybody's trying to go after the black vote right now.
What did that black lady say that we watched? The one that's an activist for people. She says, I forgot her name. What is her name?
She says that for people, you probably talking about Tamika Mallory.
Yes.
She said a lot of people who say that, hey, my vote doesn't count. Think about this. If your vote didn't count, why are they trying so hard to block you from voting at the ballots, at the poll? Why?
She said, no one fights hard for something they don't want. And they're fighting hard for our vote because they want it, they need it, they know that's what they need to win.
But that's the only thing. That's the only reason they're targeting black people is because they want to win, because they know we are the swing voters. You understand that? That's what we are. So therefore, if they don't target us to get our vote, they don't win. But it's funny that your ballots come up missing only because who they want to win. You see what I'm saying? If they're voting, they're not voting for the person that you're voting for, but they see that there's more ballots going for that person. How conveniently is it to all of a sudden they came up missing, or they didn't make it to them, or you got ballots that's not being counted? You see what I'm saying?
So would y'all say politics is racially charged?
Of course.
Why wouldn't you say that? Why wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's
crazy. That's crazy to think otherwise.
You're right, but a lot of people do. Conservative ways of thinking, their thoughts. No, they don't think that it has anything to do with race.
And conservatives, they say that we're just victims. We're black. We want to stay in that victim role and play that victim role.
But what it is the reason that people, for one, they would say that only because, for one, they haven't had to deal with it, so they don't know the experience of it. Then you have people who will stick there, like Judy said, they want you to stay in that role, and it's not that we're trying to stay in that role. But at the same time, when they look at us, they don't see us as the same. So
that's true. But Candace Owens says different, but we're gonna get on her later. We're gonna get on her a little bit later about her.
Okay.
But right now, let's get to the contract with Black America that Ice Cube put in place. And they tried to say that he tried to come on board with Trump and he tried to come on board with Biden. None of that is true. So somebody is going to be in the White House, regardless if it's Republican, regardless if it's Democratic, somebody's going to be there. So we need to work with whoever.
So what is the contract with Black America? What is it? What would you say in just summarize what this contract is? What would you say it is?
Like Ice Cube said, he wants better for Black Americans. He said that, all of these policies have been put into place for years and years and centuries. We're still at the bottom.
Okay.
We're still in poverty. He says that the white family is 10 times more wealthier than the Black families.
Okay.
And he wants to close that gap. And he doesn't care who he works with, whether it's Republican, whether it's Democrat. Let's just work. Let's put something out on the table and let's come to an agreement and get it going.
Okay.
But I guarantee you those agreements gonna have some loopholes in it. It's gonna have some loopholes in it. I guarantee you that. I get this. He might not know about them, but I guarantee you they're gonna get his John Hancock to sign that deal. And next thing you know, it's gonna be some loopholes. It's gonna be some mess they're gonna add in there that he ain't even read, he ain't even seen. That's going to apply. Always remember this: when we want what they got, with the same way they want it. Why is there always loopholes we got to jump through? Why is there always loopholes for them to do what they need to do, but yet we got to jump through hoops? We got to do everything under the sun, and then when you do that, they done came up with something else for you to do. So you ain't gonna never make it to where they're at.
That's right.
It's not gonna happen. And ain't no way. Like I said earlier, we don't have no good candidates. I'm sorry, we don't. That's just my belief. Because ain't no way in the world all of a sudden you for the Black people when you ain't never been, and you done signed the crime bill for them to come and pick Black folks up. And some of them Black folks didn't have nothing to do with drugs, but you was busting in these folks' houses, taking them out their bed, taking them from their families. You see what I'm saying? And Kamala Harris wasn't no doggone different, because she was sitting up there locking every Black man she could up.
Wasn't she a district attorney or a?
Was she a judge or was she a district attorney?
I want to say she was a district attorney. But either way,
she had a record for she locked up an innocent man and he got out. He had got out. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And here's the thing, they're so quick to lock us up. How come we ain't got some of them on the other side that's locked up doing the same thing we doing, or that we're accused of doing? But yet,
that's why your daddy
can go in there and sleep with you. Your mama know about it, but she won't do nothing about it. But that's that redneck shit, huh?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of times they lock us up because they're making money off the prison systems. These private prison systems, they get paid. They're invested in it. The more people that you get incarcerated, the higher wealth you get. The more money you get.
Mm-hmm. So who more money who get?
Those people who run those private prisons.
Privately owned prisons. They don't go through the government at all.
That's why you have all this mass incarceration.
Voters don't have to vote. It's not.
We have like 3 million people incarcerated, but it's because they're making money.
I tell you what, if you go, I don't know if y'all have seen it. Have y'all seen something called 13?
Yes.
Now,
the documentary, that's awesome.
Yes, the documentary. And what do they say? It's a mass incarceration. You have people who are getting charged more time for pet girls stealing a candy bar. You know what I'm saying? They get the same time as a murderer. Come on, man.
I had a friend who was locked up for 30 years for a candy bar. And that's
I remember that.
30 years.
Yes.
But just think about all the money that they made off of him for being locked up.
I mean, imagine how many people are locked up now, and how much money they get for each individual person. Why do you think so many are staying on death row? Why do you think they hold them on death row for so long? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm against death row. Period. I'm against the death penalty. That I am. But that is the reason that they keep them on death row that long.
For that money. Cynthia, have you heard of the contract?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I just got quiet because I'm kind of on the fence with that. All my brothers have served time in prison, but I'm like this: if you do the crime, you got to pay that time. And I know I done some things that I wasn't supposed to, and I walked my way through it. Thank you, Jesus. But you got some people out there that do some heinous crimes that just don't make sense. So you got to pay.
Yeah, but it's wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's wrong when they've used it for legal slavery.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I definitely agree with that. I got a cousin that's doing 50 years just for outrunning the law. So I definitely agree with what you all are saying. He got 50 years thrown at him by the town he was raised in because he could run faster than the law. So I definitely agree with what you all are saying.
And that's I crazy. I feel you on that, Cynthia, for the simple fact, because it's like, don't get me wrong. I'm like you. I do believe if you do the crime, you ought to be man enough or woman enough to do the time. Don't get me wrong. But my thing is the fact of stop locking people up for something that they didn't do, or you're trying, for the stupidest stuff. Not only for the stupidest stuff, quit blaming folks for stuff that you don't even have no proof they did.
Yeah.
So, but just to close a case, so you just gonna lock them? Okay. Yes, sir.
And that is crazy. But part of
you're gonna win that big money, huh?
That prison reform. He has several different clauses in this contract, and one of them is about prison reform. And so we were talking about the privately ran prisons.
That are making money off of prisoners,
and he's wanting to ban that. No more privately ran. Everything needs to be going through the state to where it can be monitored better. Or federal. I'm sorry. Yeah. Excuse me, prison labor he wants to disallow that. All the nonviolent offenders released after like 10 years, if they have a sentence that's of more, and if they're nonviolent, to give them an option to be released. You know what I'm saying? Especially for good time, for the good time part of it to, what do you call it? Isn't it good time?
Just time served.
Yes.
So he's saying once these prisoners are released, they need to give them their voters' rights back. Restore their rights to vote. Do y'all agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, I do. Because they're still
they done already paid their time.
They done served their time.
That's it.
They want to people who have marijuana charges, free them out.
Yeah, anybody who has marijuana charges, Ice Cube says, hey, let's free them, let's let them out. Righteously so. Right now, the state is making money off of marijuana. So why you still have somebody incarcerated off something that you're profiting from?
First time offenders. What is it? They want to give him. Well, this contract is saying they want him to go to rehab. Like after
they're like drug addicts and stuff, or anybody caught with possession of drugs, or if somebody's selling drugs or doing drugs, they want the first time offenders to be able to go to a rehab on their first offense.
I agree with to an extent, because I'm like, if you help people out when they're first initiate, or they first get involved in the situation with drugs or any type of criminal activity or something like that, if you give them a way to maybe reform themselves, instead of 9 times out of 10 they find their way back, or they get on the thing stronger. So if you can provide a way, he wants that rehab to be paid for
by the state.
The only thing about that is you got to remember, we got some hard heads. You understand me? So to them, it's almost going to be like a slap on the wrist. Oh, this is what they're going to do. And then next thing you know, they back out there. And I'm not saying everyone. Now that sometimes that is enough for a couple of people. You know what I'm saying? For some of them, you put them in a rehab, they're like, shit, I don't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Let me get my life together. But you got to remember, those who have been on the streets for so long, they already have that street mentality. They're so deep within it that they can go to rehab. It's not going to change nothing.
That's the part that I just
it's sad, because had they never known that way of life, we wouldn't even be facing this.
What's next? What's next that he has on the contract?
Well, he was talking about the bill to guarantee, and this is just like a condensed form of what we kind of went over when we were trying to dissect this contract, just because I feel as Black people dealing with what's going on in office and the politics and everything that's going on, we owe it to ourselves to really start educating ourselves about more what's going on. If we find out, like I think Cynthia, who was saying that we need to find out who's in office before you go and vote, or all the candidates and stuff.
You shouldn't wait to the last minute to try to cram everything, find out about policies and who's doing this and who's doing that. You need to follow way before election time, not 12 days before, and then go cast your vote.
So with that being said, I also feel like this contract that Ice Cube has brought about, we need to read it. And not only Black people, but anybody who knows that what's going on right now is wrong, take the time to read this, because you can actually, what is that website? I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah, you can go to the website. You can give your opinion on this contract. Add whatever comments you want to add, or if you have any better ideas to help support this contract, be free to leave your comments on this website. Did you find the website?
Yeah, contractwithblackAmerica.us. So I feel like we need to go there, make your comments, anything you think needs to be revised, any kind of helpful tips, because he is open. He wrote this as just like a foundation. It's not perfect.
It was a lot of people who criticized Ice Cube about, he politics.
He claimed he didn't. He said he doesn't.
But it's like this. Why are you criticizing the man who did something that you didn't do?
Yeah.
That's not okay. Don't make me
took that stand, but he took that stand no matter if he was going to be humiliated,
because he knew that.
Got up.
Don't make me shout, because that's exactly how I feel. How can you prejudge him for something he's doing, but yet you ain't did it, and you got the dollars that the same amount of dollars that he got, and it's a lot of them. It ain't just him. It's a lot of people, Black wealthy people. Michael Jordan, who was wealthy way before Ice Cube. So
just saying.
A lot of people that had the money but didn't think to put that policy in place. So I stand behind it. I didn't get to read it all. God forbid I didn't. I don't want to sit on this panel and lie, but I would be interested in reading it, and I would be interested in going over it and understanding it more.
I think everybody needs to go to the website, read over this contract with Black America, give your opinion on it. Give your opinion of what can be done better, or what can be written better on this contract.
Definitely.
I have to say, I read it. I read the short version of it, and I think it does need to be revamped a little bit. Some things I think that he's asking is
like you were saying, he wanted to address the but addressing the wealth gap. evidently between whites and blacks, that their financial situation is 10 times greater than ours. So,
he's saying it's due to slavery and oppression and all of that stuff is the reason why. He said they were born into wealth because they were able to pass down that wealth from generation to generation. And we were pretty much deprived from having it.
True. He's also addressing, he'd like for black representation on civil rights bodies, like the judges that are on like the Supreme Courts and stuff like that.
Yeah, we need to put more black judges in these federal courts. We need to have people that look like us. We need less conservatives that's stepping into these courtrooms.
It will have a healthy balance. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you go into it with just people who think one type of way all the time consistently, that's why you had that rush of incarceration, that mass incarceration. You didn't have anybody that thought differently. Everybody thought the same. This is what it's going to be. These, so there, I think they need a more balance. So I agree with that. And start having the laws that are for everybody instead of just benefiting one.
And then you see Trump. Yeah, he's releasing all these people from jail, but how many going in to replace them? Soon as he's releasing and pardoning these people, you got 15 more that's going in, or more than that.
All about the money.
Baby, look, as far as Trump, I understand and I totally respect everybody's opinion that there's no good people to actually put in office. But at this point in my life, I don't care who they put in office, as long as they get Trump out of there. When you tell people to use Clorox bleach to clear the coronavirus, when you tweet more than you president the country, when you make racial slurs on actual live TV, like he told these people what he was going to do before they elected him. He told them.
What did he tell him?
That he was going to be a pompous ass, and he's a pompous ass.
Sometimes, though, you have to be an ass to get things done. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't vote for Trump for other reasons, but I have to still say I respect him in some ways, because anybody that's that financially set, I'll say, he's about money, okay? The man is a billionaire, like a lot of times over. So I feel like he has some kind of concept of how money should go, or maybe how to get people or the country out of debt. So I have to say,
you know why he got money? Because if you go up against his ass, you fired.
Well, what?
You go up against his ass, you fired.
True.
He didn't want that. The way he came into that money, it wasn't on his own. I tell you that.
He was born into that. I understand. Yeah. So I still respect some points.
I said, I used to be against Trump, but I have to have respect for some of the things that he's done.
It's crazy, both sides. But we are limited in our choices. About what's really for us. And back to
I'm sorry, I missed something. What did you say he done?
He's done some things. He lowered the poverty rate. He decreased the unemployment rate. Black home ownership has gone up. Yeah.
Somewhat.
He did. Wait. And where at? Because I'm seeing more people being homeless and coming up out their homes. This
was before the pandemic.
Way early, like 1 year, 2 years.
Well, we talking about right now. Fuck the pandemic.
So I gotta jump in on this right now. Shit is wrong. I understand.
He made a lot of wrong decisions when it comes to handling the situation as far as the pandemic. I understand that he should have mapped it out a little better. His plan should have been mapped out better. It would have saved a lot of lives. But hey,
all right. So back to his contract, Ice Cube's contract with Black America. He wants lending reform, apply the same interest rates on loans to blacks as whites. Evidently, you go and you get a loan. There's a different type of interest rate that's applied to certain areas or certain races, should I say? I'm trying to keep it, but evidently there's an issue with that. I haven't myself run into that yet, but I'm imagine it's not too far from the truth. He also wants federally funded baby bonds, which
I thought that was interesting.
It's a way to close the wealth gap. Trust funds. What did he say?
Now, at first, I thought this was ludicrous. I'm not gonna lie. When he said he wanted that baby bond,
trust funds for people who are born, they have an automatic $1,000 contribution made put into their pot. You understand? The trust fund. And I thought that's crazy. How are you going to just automatically
it's
say
just like that Gerber Life? You know how you put money, invest money for your child, so when they grow up, they have money,
become of age or whatever, they can use it to spend it.
So this is what Ice Cube is planning to do. He wants the government to do. He wants the government to invest $1,000 in all the babies who are born, and when they come of a certain age, they can get this money. Of course,
spend it on education, houses, or
starting a business.
Those restrictions are set on this, and I think that if you're born into a low income family, then you get more increases up to 46,000. So I'm like, but I'm still like, how in the world are you able to just say that that's something? Why are we asking for that when there's other things?
The reason why he's asking, I'm not going to say, well, he's asking because he's saying that he wants to close that gap. That gap in between
10% higher than what we have, or 10 times more than what we get.
The poverty gap. So he's trying to close that poverty gap. And I believe that if you do set aside these bonds or whatever for these kids, and when they grow up, they have money. So when they get older, they can start their own business or go to college. That will decrease the gap between whites and blacks as far as financially the poverty gap. Because
go ahead, Judy.
That gives them an opportunity to do something better with their life instead of doing what they normally do, go work a 9 to 5 minimum wage. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's a good idea. Like I said, when I first read it, I didn't quite understand it. I didn't agree with it. I'm like, how are you going to ask somebody to just invest, just give money to black people?
Just because
it
does make sense to me, because if you think about it right now today, or in my experience, if you make $5 too much, they want to knock you down for something else. If you make $10 too much, they want to take away something else. It's designed to keep you down. The way the system is set up today. I'm on housing. I'm on public assistance. So, and I live on a fixed income. But if I go get a part-time job and I'm able to work 20 hours a week, well, guess what? They're going to cut my Medicare because I chose to work. If I go to work and I work 20 hours a week, they're going to go up on my rent just from working 20 hours a week, just to add extra toiletries in my house. So I do agree with that policy as far as what Ice Cube is trying to bring into it, because how can you get ahead if every time the state is designed to hold you down?
All right.
That's the way it's built. It's funny how the people that make rules are the people who stole. The people who make the rules are thieves.
So y'all agree with the baby bonds, to where the government invests money, give low income people who have babies, invest in them a bond, so they'll put $1,000 up and let it grow over the years. But so when they become of age, they have access to this money with restrictions.
I was just about to say that restrictions on the children and the parents as well, because parents sometimes, guardians sometimes will turn and use that for something they ain't got no business.
Well, they'll have the restrictions surrounding this, and it'll be, you only can use this money, like she said, for housing, to start a business, or to go to college.
That's it. And I think that's a good thing to put in place, because you know how it is. He also wants there's a Federal Reserve or government pension clause for to give one-time interest-free loan for home ownership. So I think that's good, and to invest a certain percentage back into Black-owned business.
I thought they already had that in place though, for vets or whatever. You know, when they go get a home and it's interest-free.
He's talking about for all Black people.
Oh, he's talking about
one-time interest-free loan for home ownership.
Oh,
there wasn't any certain circumstances applied to that. He just feels like that's, everybody at one point or another should get a one-time interest-free home ownership loan. And I mean, you can only use it for getting a home, but I think that's still a way to come ahead.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Let's see. He also has another clause about financial oversight. Let's see. He wants a program or an office or department that's specifically based to look over minority lending, like the housing projects or banks and stuff like anything dealing with low income or something like that, just so you can keep a monitor on it.
So they can make sure that the money is being spent the right way.
I
You
was
know,
just
a lot of organizations, they steal the money and it doesn't go toward what it's supposed to go toward. And it's your tax dollar money. So he wants to put somebody, he want to appoint somebody to put them over this project so they can make sure that all the monies for these programs is going to the right people.
Dallas Housing was on the news about that people that they had in the top office over the county and the city that fraudulently used government funding for public housing assistance and Section 8. Dallas Housing made the news about that about a year ago.
Sure, not too long ago, employees for Wells Fargo, you know, all that money that them loans of people that they were giving out for people businesses and stuff. Wells Fargo employees was putting that in their bank account, and it just
see, that's what I'm talking about, boy.
Hey, it just so happened that Wells Fargo decided to take a look at where money was going, and come to find out, their own employees was taking that money and putting it into their personal accounts.
They said we come up with
all I want to know is, how you gonna work at the bank, have a bank account at the bank, and take the people money and put it in your account at the bank?
Girl, bold.
At the same bank.
Yeah.
Honey.
Okay, y'all working. Y'all working. Why do y'all need this money? What business was y'all trying to start?
They said, I gotta get a little piece of that too, honey.
Well, they were getting a little bit too big of a piece and got caught. They took a big chunk out that cake, baby.
Oh God. Okay, y'all. You know how the Federal Credit, where Privacy Act, where your personal information and data is protected?
Yeah.
Okay, so he wants to have some guidelines to protect like
your criminal records. Like, you know how they protect your credit so some people can't see it, it's private, you know? Okay, unless you sign and say, hey, I give authorization to let somebody see my credit. Well, he's saying that it should be put in place the same way far as your criminal record. You should have privacy far as that.
Which is dicey. But but the other part is that you can go in and be able to correct the things that are
like you dispute your credit. Like you dispute your credit. He's saying you should be able to dispute that criminal record.
Not just on there, just because people said it's what it is.
You know,
here's the thing
opportunity to correct it.
But here's the thing though. If we do that, how do we know who the pedophiles are? How do we know who the rapists are? You see what I'm saying? So that's an iffy situation. You see what I'm saying?
You know, we said at the beginning that this contract does have some, or you might have said it has some holes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's not
it needs to be revamped. And he's asking for everybody to come to this website and give their opinion.
Look over it. I mean, it has the full version too, so you know.
Well, when we get ready to end, will y'all please message me with that information?
Absolutely.
I'll be on there with my sentences.
I'm telling girl, because look at here. Let me tell you. Yeah, that one right there, that one I can't too much agree with because of that. Because we have too many people who are molesting kids, or you know what I'm saying, they're getting out and they're not registering as sex offenders and they're going back, you know what I'm saying, doing the same thing. Yeah. That part of it I'm not too keen on.
Well, dicey, and you know, again,
well, I just agree with the part where you can dispute it, your criminal record. Well, don't,
because I think there's parts of it.
I'm saying if they have wrong information, your name,
right?
You've been convicted of a crime, right?
Right.
And he said, give people an opportunity to correct that.
And you disagree with that?
No, I said I agree with it.
Oh, I thought you said you disagree.
No, I said I agree with that part.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. We talked about his prison reform, about the no privately ran prisons, restoring the Voter Act. We already talked about that. He has another one about the judicial reform. Civil rights departments to have more oversight over the police department, basically being able to go in and what am I trying to say? Have people to be able to
to go in and like audit the police department.
Don't get me started on that, baby, because all these death and all that kind of stuff that's been going on, these no-knock warrants, baby. Let me put my pistol to your head, baby, and see how you like it.
Just saying. He says the Department of Justice
back with a billy stick and see how you like it. I'm gonna break your spine, man.
Just saying. He's saying lynching should become a federal hate crime. KKK be declared as a terrorist organization. Department of Justice can be sued for compliance. You know, there's policemen or whatever that are doing things that they shouldn't. Then so I think that one's a pretty good one.
I'm not trying to knock you, Tanya, but how about that's the part I read? That part right there that you going down. Everything else you were talking about, you seem real quiet, but that part right there, I was like,
you wrote there.
You wrote she a gangster look. She know, but she want to know about that part right there.
Everything about police reform, huh?
Everything.
He's actually saying he don't want reform. Ice Cube was saying he don't want reform. He want it all reconstructed.
Yes.
That's sad. I ain't read nothing else.
Tear it apart. Tear it apart. Tear it down. Let's rebuild.
Yes. Say it.
What?
She said, "Let's say it." I ain't read nothing else, but that part about the.
I zoomed in on that part. I did. I'm guilty on that. Because if you lock my cousin up for 50 years for outrunning your ass, you need to be locked up with him.
I got a question, Judy. You said you agree with what part?
What are you talking about? We're talking about
the like correcting the record.
Getting the opportunity to correct your criminal record when you've been
accused. What is meant by that?
He said just like you dispute your credit report, right?
Yeah.
Saying that they should give people an opportunity to get their criminal record corrected when you're falsely accused and charged of a crime.
Okay. That's the part. That's what I was. Okay, that's what I was looking for. That part right there. That falsely accused part. Because I was going to say, doggone well, everybody gonna be trying to dispute it, even when they did.
I ain't do that.
Look, wait, 30 to 45 days to see if it came off. Go check that and see if it came off my criminal record.
They dial the number, check it every day. Check it every day. You know how they check.
And I sure ain't gonna incriminate myself. I'm not finna give you nothing to incriminate me.
No.
What's he saying about the rent, utilities, phones, and phone bills?
Well, first, let's get back to the policing.
Oh, go ahead.
Because he also said that police officers should be required to have malpractice insurance. Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with that. Because if they have malpractice insurance and those premiums keep going up and rising up, their ass gonna eventually get fired.
Okay. And they ain't gonna be able to go to another city, another state, and another station.
And that's another thing that he said. He said instead of them being able to be rehired, they should not be eligible to be rehired.
I was getting to that
in any other city.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like if you work for a company, those of us who, minorities who work for a company, and say, for instance, you go to another city and you want to go back to that same company, they got it in there as non-rehirable. You see what I'm saying? Why can't they put that on there as non-rehirable? Conduct, misconduct. You done shot somebody. You done hit this man in the back of the head. His back was turned, so you didn't have no reason to hit him. So we cannot hire you.
Just like doctors who get barred. I feel like police officers should have to go through the same. And also, I feel like they should have to do residency.
Yeah.
Instead of just going straight out there going to work. No. You need to place these police officers with somebody who's been on the force for some years.
Some internships.
And do some internship.
But you know what? But the thing about that is, if they do internship and they do it with somebody who have been on the force for that long,
but they corrupt.
9 times out of 10, you see what I'm saying? They're like, hey, you're not supposed to do this.
But
you feel me? It's always a but in there. So who can you trust?
There's always a 50% chance of something going wrong, but
my idea was this:
rotate them around.
My idea is to make them do a certain amount of hours of community service. I know the police officers already do community service, but my community service would require them to go into the homes of the communities that they police.
Yeah, to help people
go
be
into
less
the
intimidated or afraid of the
that
police.
way, so they can, like you said, be less intimidated. And I feel like that grows respect for both people.
I really do. You learn to respect those people that you're actually
instead
trying to
of being
protect
intimidated because this person's color is different than yours.
That's right.
You should be required to do community service in other people's houses. Go to these communities and sit down and have dinner with these people.
You need to write in and put that in the contract. That's what you need to do.
So and a lot of and then also he was saying that they should police their own community. Now, I don't agree with policing your own community, because what if you go and you arrest somebody who knows where you live and they come back and retaliate?
Not only policing your own community, but then you got to think, if they could police their own community, do you know how much shit they'd get away with?
That's true. Hey.
Because of the simple fact, because Bob is Joe's best friend. So he just going to give him a warning.
True. A lot of things can slide like that.
You see what I'm saying? And he been a win next door and kill, and he'll beat his wife. He been and killed his damn wife. Well, why didn't you say nothing? Well, I didn't think he would do it again. You know what I'm saying?
That's so much. You know what I'm saying? That's horrible.
So I believe that the police officers, they need to do the community service.
Hello, how are you doing?
In his Police Reform Act, he also wants to eliminate the immunity.
Yes. They're always screaming, I want immunity. They need to eliminate that.
Yep, police officers anyway. Let's see. The no chokehold, also he wants to ban that. The no knock warrants, take that out. Mandatory dash and body cams for police officers. What else is this one?
I think they already banned the chokehold though.
Oh, well, I hope so.
So a lot of these things in this a contract for Black America, I think there's similar things that have already been addressed.
Yeah.
Some of the things.
Because this is not the first time that we have a contract that's supposed to be dedicated to reforming the laws for Black people. This isn't the first time. So, I mean, that probably has already been addressed, but it's like, we need to bring it back up, bring it to your attention, because this is something that's important.
Sandra said in the comments, she said that, honestly, she do not like to call the police because you just never know how it's going to turn out once they get there, unless it's a dire emergency.
Yep. And I think that's a belief of many people these days, especially these days. I had the misconception that police were for us. If I call you, you're going to come and you're going to help me and protect me and fix the right or fix the wrong. You know what I'm saying? Right the wrong. But I came into knowing that that's not always the case, especially.
And it's sad when we're taxpayers and we're paying them to do a job and they can't even do that. Sad. And then when they get in trouble, our tax dollars are still represent them to get them out of trouble.
And that's another key thing that just crossed my mind. The whole to take it back full circle to voting, don't just vote when it's time to vote for the president and the vice president. There's things to vote for throughout the year. The judges,
then they come up usually every 2 years.
So be active and vote. And I'm not going to sit on this screen and sit here and say I voted every little bitty thing I'm supposed to vote for. But the older I have gotten at 45, it does matter to me today. So starting this year, every time it comes up for the mayor, every time it comes up for the judges, every time it comes up for the district attorney, I will be in somebody's voting poll, because guess what? You're not representing me. You have shown me in the past, just because we put somebody in that seat, that person that's in that seat didn't do nothing to protect me.
We're supposed to be a country of democracy, where we have people who have fought for us to give us the opportunity to go out and put in our opinions. So we have to utilize it. If you don't, things can turn into a dictatorship very quickly.
As we grew up, or as at first I didn't think nothing about voting, y'all. I just did, like you said, Judy, as far as I grew up in a Democratic house. But us being in our mid-40s, how do you all feel about it now? Like, are you more awake? Do you pay more attention to it? Or is it just something that we all just go through to call life?
Absolutely.
No, I absolutely pay attention now. I pay attention. And like I said, with this contract that Ice Cube is trying to put in place, I'm paying attention to it.
Right.
You know, it's important.
It's a really important.
I was going to say, you know, and yeah, Cynthia, it's like before, no, we didn't pay attention to a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like who we were actually voting for. You know what I'm saying? Remember when we was in school, they used to always talk about voting. And when you really did get a chance to vote, you just go up there and vote. You don't know who you voting for, what they stand for. You line to be voting against your rights. But
well,
as we've gotten older,
a lot of these policies. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, as we've gotten older, yeah, like Judy said, you start to pay more attention to what's really going on because things are starting to happen, you know, far more than what they used to. And like, for instance, I'm going to tell you something. When my son, I think he was in the second grade, girl, I had never read a handbook, not even when I was in school. I didn't read no school handbook. Do you know, while I stayed in Carrollton, they sent that school book, that handbook home, and I read that handbook front to back. It was the first time I had ever read a handbook. And when I got to reading it, I realized some things within it. And that's when I really started paying attention to a lot of things. Because there was some things in that handbook that I didn't agree with. How you going to say if your child is caught fighting in second grade, he go to jail? Girl, I had to call up there. Do you know they worried me about that doggone handbook? They called me every day about that handbook. And that's when I found out that I could write on the side. And they had to acknowledge what I wrote. So you do start to pay attention to a lot of things.
And I think I agree that you start paying attention to a lot of things when it starts to affect you.
That's it.
When, say for instance,
that's the same thing with people. They don't understand why Black Lives Matter is important because it's not affecting you. A lot of people, they ignore everything until it's in your circle. When it's brought in your circle, that's when you pay attention. But we got to do better. We got to do better than that as Black people. We got to pay attention all the time.
As I feel, not just Black people, everybody pay attention.
Everybody, but I'm saying mainly Black people.
Definitely,
because we're steady. We're at the bottom. We're at the bottom, and it's not getting any better.
And nothing will.
Because a lot of these policies that they didn't put in place, they're not helping us. I don't make $400,000 a year, so these tax breaks or tax increases, they don't even affect me.
But the first time you make $100 too much, they want to take it from you.
You're looking at your check like, what in the world? Why did all these taxes? What are you saying? You know, like for instance, education. You know, education should not be. It shouldn't change. It should be equal for everyone, not just because you live in a certain part district.
Of town.
You understand? You want your child. Everybody wants their children when they go to school to get that quality education to be able to, you know, advance in life. But because you live in a low income or low poverty area, your funding that's supposed to be allotted for your district or for your schools that are there is less.
It's based off of taxes, right?
Yes.
Okay,
so
you hit taxes. You hit education. You hit education. I'm finna hit you even harder. When we went to school, we had books for every freaking class except for gym. But we still had a curricula that we had to follow in gym. Mm-hmm. When my kids made it to middle school and high school, they were not checking out books to the children. My kids did not get books. I went to their school and I checked out books in my name. You should have seen me in my car. I had over 40 books. I want the English. I want the math. I want the science. Ain't no way you can tell me that my child gonna go home and learn what they need to learn off of a worksheet. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
So they can, you know,
I had to personally take those books back into my children's school.
Well, you know, we need more funding into these schools. And like Ice Cube said, what did he say that he wanted to happen?
He wanted
as far as the funding?
Yes, he wanted it to be based upon per student.
Per student.
Rather than paid for by local property taxes, just because your area that you live in is more the property or the property taxes are higher.
Property taxes.
The quality is higher, then you get more funding. Well, no, it should be per base per student. So say, for instance, the
So
school
that
got
way
200
it's
kids.
equal all across.
Yes, every school, all standards should be the same. Therefore, education is the same for everybody. I agree with that one. And we really need to get into supporting things that are for us, that's going to help us advance. We really need to do our research, find out about everybody that's these not just the politicians, but what am I trying to say, like singers and stuff, entertainers and stuff like that. They need to realize that their platform they have, use it to speak to everybody. You never know what's going to come out your mouth that might touch somebody to help them understand, because I think people think generally politics, they hear politics and they start hear government and elected officials, this right party, left wing, you know, they're like, what? And it's confusing and it scares people off. So I think
so generally people just go and they do what their family's been doing for generations. Going and vote Democratic. Because why? Because I've been taught to vote Democratic.
Don't be like that.
No, you need to learn about it. Listen to these debates. You know what I'm saying? Listen to these policies. See if it fits you and your family.
What's beneficial.
And don't be afraid to vote that way.
Definitely.
Now Trump then put into place a platinum plan
to counteract Ice Cube's.
Yeah, well, in conjunction with the platinum plan. Mm-hmm. He said he's going to create 3 million new jobs for Black people. He's going to put 500. I know he said he's going to put.
Is it 500 new jobs? No,
500,000
new jobs. Is it jobs?
Yeah, he said new jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he said he's going to do criminal justice reform.
Wasn't it $5 billion back into Black-owned businesses?
3 million.
3 million. Okay.
3 million new jobs. What he said.
Mm-hmm. I'm like this. His so-called platinum plan that he has come up with. If you haven't implemented that in the 4 years,
that's what I was about to say. Why are you doing it now?
It should not be brought up.
You had all this time to do it. So why now? Because it's close to election time.
That's right. I believe someone else stated that, they know how to secure the Black vote.
But how do we know he's going to fulfill these promises? We don't know.
To me, he ain't fulfilled half the promises he said he was going to fulfill when he initially got elected 4 years ago. So I don't believe.
We have to find a way to make them earn our vote instead of just taking our votes and putting them in their back pockets and running on with it. We have to find.
Ice Cube also said, you got the right to go vote and ask for what you want. Don't think that you just have to go vote and not have a say in who and what you're voting for. That's where I got it from. That's actually how I did not vote straight Democrat. I know I keep saying that, but listening to him, he just struck a nerve when he said, you got the right to ask. You got a right to know who and what you're voting for. Don't just let them throw anything in your lap and you feel that you got to accept what you have. You don't.
And then Trump said that he want to create a national clemency program to help the people who were wrongfully convicted.
Oh, wow.
That's great. That's great. Give people an opportunity to get out of jail. And, right now, everybody's just depending upon the Innocent Project.
But that policy to me is a bunch of clouded fluff.
No, he said this, pretty much he's saying that this platinum plan is for Black people, Black America.
No, this clemency thing.
A pair of lips will say
that's a part of the platinum plan.
Okay, I understand it's a part of his plan, but it's a bunch of filler fluff to the outside. To the outside, when you first hear it and you look at it, you're like, oh, great. He's all for letting people out of jail. But on the other side of the fence, the behind the scenes that you don't see, what is he doing?
He didn't pardon people out of jail.
He pardoned people out of jail. Yes, he has. He's coming. What was it? Kim Kardashian came and freed that woman.
He just freed that lady.
What was that rapper's name?
She was
Meek Mills. He's into trying to do all. Okay.
He freed a lady, and if she would have stayed in there, she would have to do 24 more years.
I get it.
So she's out.
So that's a good thing, and it's on the surface that it looks good, but behind the scenes, it's still on that judicial side. Those judges and those higher ups or whatever that are all for the Republican, the conservative way of thinking, locking up and incarcerating everybody else. So for the few that he lets out that looks good to gain all the Black people's votes, on the other side, it's no change has happened over there. Everybody's not voting for the right people to be put in those seats, and people are still being incarcerated. So it's just a filler fluff.
Well, he's saying that this plan is not going to happen overnight. It's to be 4 years.
4 more years.
4 years.
Okay.
He said he want to invest more money into research for the cure for kidney disease and diabetes.
I should have been came up with a lot of that.
I believe that, just like I believe he should be in office again. Yeah, right.
Y'all, you know, you have to take everything that you hear and measure doses anyway, and believe everything you hear. Don't believe 100% of. Take 10 to 15% out of it and believe that. I don't. Nothing's concrete. I don't think.
What do you think about Biden's plan? Biden, he want to increase minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Good luck with that, because what is minimum wage now? What, 9?
I think it's lower than 9.
I think it's lower than $9.
Francis, you know what minimum wage is now?
I think it's lower than $9. Don't give me the line. I'm gonna ask one of my kids
actually,
right now.
If I'm not mistaken, it's 9. I do believe.
I think it's 9, because I think that either it was 8 or 9, something like that.
But no, it's above 8. It's 9, or in between 9 and 10, I do believe.
Well, see, and Biden wants to make it 15. Well, good luck with that. I don't think that's
so then guess what happens? What about the taxes? Because you do remember, the more you make, the more they take.
It goes up. Yeah. What were we looking at? I think he said he wants to increase, or was it Trump who wants to keep the taxes? I forget exactly.
Trump wants to keep it the same in certain areas. Biden is the one who wants to increase corporate taxes
based upon a certain money bracket, right?
Mm-hmm. What do y'all think about the conservative Candace Owens? You know,
15 in Amazon. Taxes they take out is ridiculous.
She went off on Cardi B, just disrespectful.
Candace Owens. Who is Candace Owens?
Owens, she's a conservative. She's just somebody who got a lot of clout, went viral overnight.
Okay, and for those who don't know, conservative way. Taz, you gonna say, "Oh, I pay attention because you can't talk."
Go ahead, Fred.
What you gonna say, Fred?
You got to say something about Miss Candace Owens.
Who is she? Do she even exist?
Okay.
I think she only exists in the white community because she ain't shit over here.
Yeah, she tried to call Cardi B a puppet. She said that Biden used her platform, but that Biden really felt like she was stupid and illiterate.
Really?
Wow.
How you gonna call Cardi B illiterate just because she doesn't have a degree in politics? Just because she doesn't know about politics.
Donald Trump didn't have a degree, period. So what do you call him?
He hired don't have a degree in politics.
So come on, man.
She was saying that Biden used her, and he thinks that all black folks are
who
stupid.
She think? So who does she think using her? Wait, hold on. But who do she think using her? As soon as they done with her, guess what? She ain't nothing but another NIGG. A. At the end of the day,
she was like,
that's exactly what they call it.
Why would you think Biden would sit down with a rapper? And I'm like, how can you judge her? No, fuck that.
No, not her. No, not her.
Wait a minute. She sat down with T.I. Ain't T.I. a fucking rapper?
Yeah, damn right. And T.I. ran her ass like it wasn't nobody's business, baby.
He didn't do it good enough, because let me tell you, a person like that, like Candace Owens, who think that she's politically correct about everything. When a person thinks like that and they get all these facts from the internet and then try to have a debate with somebody, when you're dealing with a person like that, you got to hit them with all facts. Don't even waste your time trying to debate with them. Hit them with the facts so they shut the fuck up. That's what I think about. She didn't even live long enough to even be trying to discuss Black history.
I'm putting like this: she will not survive over on our side of the tracks.
She'll be trying to get back to the other side of the track
quicker than her. And guess what? And they gonna put a fence up because they ain't gonna accept them back. They gonna shoot her back over there.
Now, I have to say, we all understand and we respect everyone's opinion. She's entitled to her opinion.
She's entitled to her opinion, but I feel like she need to go out and talk to some real Black people. Talk to some real Black people that were in the area of 1965 when they went through all of that stuff, and get some true historical facts. Instead of looking on the internet for facts, because those statistics that are on the internet They're fake anyway. They're false. Most of them are false anyway. We can't even get real history taught in our schools.
Thank you.
So why you think we're going to get real statistics that are on the internet that are written by some journalist or some blogger or whatever?
Sandra says she makes $15 an hour now at Amazon, but by the time they get through taking out her taxes, it's like $8 an hour.
Yes, ma'am. That is ridiculous. And, I do understand. And I feel like for someone to judge Biden for sitting down with Cardi B, why is she not judging Trump for sitting down with Kanye? There's a purpose, I feel.
Ooh, that's a whole nother topic right there, Mr. Kanye.
It's all.
But I'm like this. She sat down with several rappers.
So what was her point? What was she saying? That
she's saying, why would somebody like Biden sit down with a rapper who has no education or can't offer anything when it comes to talking about politics?
Why did Trump sit down with Kanye? How did his mentally unstable self, why is he sitting there having a whole conversation, talking about politics, possibly running for a candidate? There's a reason for it all.
I have to ask this. How come Candace Owens ain't sat down with Roland Martin? Somebody that's on her level that can debate and talk with her about politics. How come?
He's over her level.
The invite has been sent to Candace Owens. I ain't seen her on the Roland Martin show yet. Instead, she want to keep going up against these rappers who have no.
The old pack.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I will say to who said that we don't have people. Good candidates to choose from. Was it you or Francis? But at any rate, Francis. At any rate, Biden and the vice president, Harris?
Yes.
Neither one of them have actually sat down with, I believe, any kind of black media yet either. And the invites have been sent for them too. So it's like who's really for us? While she's sitting over there just, like you're saying, debating with people who don't have, and I'm not saying they don't have any education or anything like that, but they're not into politics in that way.
No, their careers are to rap. So why call somebody illiterate because they're not into politics? That's not their job. That's not their career. So should we call her illiterate because she doesn't know anything about engineering, or she don't know anything about rapping, or because she don't know anything about the medical field? Should she be classified as illiterate? Mm-hmm. That was an illiterate statement that she made.
That was just a low blow. Kind of something more.
See, y'all trying to be political. She just ignorant.
You ain't never lied.
She just ignorant. Just because you got education and degrees behind your name don't mean you can't wake up and wash your face and wash your behind and still be ignorant. You could just be plumb ignorant.
I'll tell you what. That's just ridiculous.
Like I said, she needs to get her facts from real people.
Yeah, she has to. Get out there and not know the dope.
She's trying to say that we're just victim. I mean, we're trying to play the victim role. No, we're not playing the victim role. We live through these fucking experiences.
That's right.
You ain't lived long enough.
You ain't never lied.
When you live long enough, then maybe you realize it. And then she said she was Democratic at first, and she was on the left, and now she's on the right.
Yeah, I heard you say that too.
I believe the only reason why you on the right now is because you with a Caucasian man.
Influence.
Exactly.
You think so?
So now you got to show him that I'm not like the rest of the black people that are screaming, "Oh, poor me," or these policies and everything that are being put into place. I don't agree that they're not for me. I'm not that pitiful victim.
And that's conservatives. They think that, everything is your own personal.
That we're making excuses.
Yes, it's your personal responsibility to get yourself out of situations.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps is what they say. Mm. And like we say, what if we don't have no boots?
And that's half the time.
And you can't expect for everybody just to pull themselves up. We've been through so much mental anguish. We should be getting a check for mental anguish because we've been torn down many, many years.
I think that was another part of Ice Cube's contract. Wasn't he discussing the fact that black people
that he said it's a mental health crisis?
Which let me read this because this is like kind of toward the end of his contract, and I want y'all to tell me how you feel about it because
he was talking about epigenetic trauma.
And right, they said through generations that we inherit the feelings or the thought processes based upon the traumas that we've had before in the past. So if you had things that were done to slaves or whatnot and so forth, your ancestors have through generations passed that anguish, that mental anguish onto you as well. People in the Holocaust or, different traumatic situations that people have been through. So yeah, but I want y'all to tell me how you feel about this last little clause in here, and tell me what you think. Okay, he says it's called the Black responsibility. Chronic poverty creates an atmosphere full of negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence. And these are some of the conditions that plague the Black community, which with dealing with extreme generational poverty, like you just said. As we begin to gain social and economic equality, it is our duty to clean up ourselves and our community. This contract is a two-way street, though. As we gain social and economic equality, we must begin to dissolve any bitterness in our hearts for past wrongs. We must become better citizens who are more productive on all levels of American society. We really must set up after we pass the contract with Black America with no more excuses left in the kitty. Our entertainers should be more persuaded to deliver more positive content that leads our youth to make better choices in their lives. A new pride must be developed within these new opportunities, and we must fight against that negativity, that frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, crime, drug abuse, and violence. So what do y'all feel that after, say for instance, this contract is passed and we start to see some more positive change, do you feel like it is our responsibility now to be like, okay, well, there's no excuses for anything that doesn't come our way?
No,
that we can't,
because even if there is change, which I feel like it'd probably take 100 years to even see a significant amount of change, but I feel like that's not going to take away what we went through. It ain't nothing that you can give us to take away the scars or the mental anguish that we done been through over the centuries. So you just can't
I'm going to
give you this, and now you're healed, you're cured, and now you should live normal and say, I'm cured. My mental illness is gone. My mental trauma is gone. Mm-mm.
Okay, put it like this. The situation, treat that as an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
You mentally screwed up. That don't go away, like Judy said. It doesn't go away like that. Like, who does? Oh, I'm gonna give you money. So really, what you calling us is we are materialistic, hungry ass people, and that's supposed to fix everything. That doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix what you've done over the years, over the decades, over the centuries.
I agree.
And yes, it does trickle down, because you think about it. If you got one that suffers from depression, where do you think they've gotten it from? A lot of this stuff is hereditary.
That's it.
It's also due to your environment. What you've grown up around.
Well, ladies, what did she say? Oh, you read that one. Yeah.
I feel like, kind of what Francis said, no amount of money you throw in a person's lap, it's going to erase history.
Right. So you think that even if they decide to do this contract and they decide to give us reparations, what did he say? 13.5? 13.5% of everything, that we should get some type of repayment back. And it doesn't always have to be in the form of money. It could be through homes or, just however. But do y'all think that can at least take away some of the sting?
All it's going to do is help us financially, but it's not going to heal the scarring. When he said something about mental, you can send some help out there to help some people that can be helped, but you got a lot of people that it don't matter what to check you right, they're going to be hurt. You done killed my son. You done killed my daughter. You done killed my grandbaby. I ain't no amount of money you can give me that can bring my life back.
That's true. At the end of the day,
I'm sorry. Even these no-knock warrants, the people, Trayvon Martin, all those kids, I don't care what kind of money you throw at them families, you can't bring that loved one back. So
that's right.
That doesn't make sense to me. I agree that something needs to be done financially, but I got 3 young adults, and if they are taken away from me for some senseless crime, whether it's street crime or by the law, you can't give me my kid back. So no check you write me is gonna, come on now. I'm not that money hungry. I'm not that chick.
and it doesn't take any information, nothing. It just no, it'll say it literally just.
Oh, I thought she was talking to us.
I say reparations will make it a little bit better, but
it ain't gonna
solve the whole problem. No, I mean, and that's another thing. You can't forget. You can forgive, but you can't forget.
And I hate that saying forgive and forget. I can forgive you, but baby, I will never, ever, ever forget. I wouldn't be human if I forgot. You know, that
is very true. That's just human nature. So y'all, we talked about the importance of getting out there and voting. We've talked about the importance of learning who you're voting for. Don't just fall in the generational curse of just, going straight Democrat or straight Republican, whichever side. And again, everyone, these are our opinions that we've voiced. This is factual information that we did give you concerning the contracts or the clauses and the plans each candidate is representing, but it's your choice. Everyone be grateful that we've been given that choice, because a long time ago, we weren't even able to go out and to vote. Women, Black people, minorities. So utilize that. If you want change, don't listen to a lot of people tell you your vote doesn't count. You have to do something. Even if the wrong person gets in office that you didn't vote for, still stay in tune and learn, gain knowledge, find out what's going on, because the situation we're in right now, the people who are in office right now came about because of why. Go and learn about those reasons why they came. Try to figure out a different way, another solution. Support, such as the contract. Support people who are trying to come out with change. Learn about it. Support it.
Go read it.
Anyway,
what's that today. Web address?
That was a contract with blackamerica.us.
Contract with blackamerica.us.
I'll take you there. You can put in your opinion, support it. Also, if you're confused with some of the requirements to go and vote, double check and see if you're registered, check your status. Vote.org, I believe, is, that's it.
So if y'all look into the comments, you can see where I put contract with blackamerica.us. That's the contract with Ice Cube that he wrote. So if anybody want to go and give their opinion, you can go to that website, give your opinion.
And I just want to say before we end the show, he may never, ever, ever watch our show. We may never reach his platform. But as a Black African-American woman, I got to tip my hat to him. I got to say I appreciate him as a Black man, because he's done something that no other has tried. I know Tanya said that this has came up before and it died along the way somewhere, but I don't have to book everything he write down in his contract, but at least he stood up, used some of his power, some of his money, some of his influence to get something done for what he calls Black America. And I appreciate that all by itself. That I'm grateful for.
All right, y'all, it's time for Thursday giveaway.
All
right, here we go. What, did you have something to say? Did you have something to say, friend? Did you have something to say?
There was two things, y'all. I am so sorry. I forgot. Y'all gotta be reminding me to send my shit in. Look, the other thing that I had to say was basically to all my people, we damned if we do and damned if we don't. We screwed either way you look at it. At least that's my opinion. That's the way that I feel. I don't care which way we go. We are up shit creek without paddle. Because there's no way in Sam hell that you could sit up here and all of a sudden be for my people when you never were for my people. You was always against my people. It ain't no way. So if he gets back into office, we're screwed. If Biden is in there and Kamala Harris, we screwed too.
What about if they try to adopt
like Ice Cube used to say? Folk with no Vaseline.
No. But it starts somewhere. Change has to start somewhere. And I do agree, we are screwed either way. But once whoever has to sit, and this is the thing that Cynthia, when you say you respect him for putting himself out there, it doesn't matter, because there's a lot of controversy that's saying, oh, well, you went and shared your plan with the wrong side. There is no side.
There's no wrong side.
Because each person, each party, somebody is going to have to be elected and take that seat. So when they get there, they have to know about what our demands are, what we want for ourselves, our people, the change, the things that are wrong. So, I'm just saying.
All right, y'all, let me get back to this drawing. The first number 2.
Number 2 building.
Brittany Wadsworth. Miss Brittany. All right. Thank y'all again.
And our next number is 4.
Number 4 is Miss Carolyn Johnson. So Brittany Wadsworth, Miss Carolyn Johnson will be in contact with you guys to get information about your prize. And thank you for supporting everyone who's watching. Always, as always, I'll say.
All right, y'all. We're about to get out of here. This has been great, y'all. No BS. We love all of y'all. Y'all have a good night. Mwah. Love you. Thank y'all for y'all support. Y'all have a good night.